VeVe collectibles have crushed it since we started talking about them a little over 1 year ago today. Todd McFarlane's Batman has gone from $80 to actually like $13,000 at the top, and now retraced all the way down to $6,000. The Omi token has currently had a price crash. Some are taking this as an opportunity to FUD on the Omi token. We're going to talk with the Real Randy Chavez about our thoughts on whether it's a buy signal or a sell signal and what is going on with the Omi token, as well as many other topics. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel. I'm your host, Jay Rain. Now, if you like money and you like crypto, and you're looking for a real investor take on the crypto market, join the Rainmaker family by liking this video and subscribing with the all notifications bell enabled. We're not financial advisors. We're a crypto investor ourselves. This is our special Wednesday night VeVe stream. Now, I do want to thank our Patreon members. We do have a private Discord that our Patreon members get access to. Thank you to all of you who joined us there. Make it rain on that like button and strap in for the show. Let's welcome our producer, D Money.
Hey, what up, Jay? How's it going, man?
Fantastic. Now, we recorded this section with Randy earlier, and we're going to code over that video with him and our resident NFT expert, DrOfStuff, who joined us as well. What did you think about our chat with him?
Yeah, super fun conversation. He's a real chill guy. But he asked a lot of questions that led us in some different directions than we normally discuss on the channel. But it was a really good conversation. And, just like these episodes normally do, the time just flew by, just kind of four dudes talking about something that they're really passionate about. So I really enjoyed it, and thanks to Randy for making it happen.
Yeah, I like it. He's got a background in like Pokemon collectibles, right? That he did well as an investor, and he's done well enough through some of the stuff that he's done that he's retired early. And so that says a lot. So join us for our discussion with him. It's fascinating. I really enjoyed the questions that he asked as well as his answers on things. All right. Remember to make it rain on that like button.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. This is I, the Real Randy Chavez, coming at you with D Money, DrOfStuff, and Crypto Rain. How's everyone doing today?
Fantastic.
Yeah, good, Randy. Good, man.
Yeah, for sure. Everything's up a little bit, and it's feeling awesome, at least in the overall crypto space.
Everything but Omi token is that right?
Unfortunately, right?
I am getting so much crap from my friends. They're like, what's Omi doing? It's in the toilet. It's not moving. It's like, and they're invested enough to notice when it does bad, but they're not invested enough to go in and watch all the VeVe videos or any of my videos and say like, oh, hey, there's reasons why that happens. Like some delays on the changes.
Yeah, and when it happens, it's like, buy more. It's freaking Christmas. You walk in like, oh, no, it's on a half price sale. Oh, it's on a 78% off sale. Why would I buy more? Yeah. I'm just going to complain about it being so discounted.
Well, I was going to say, I remember like last year when it was in that 0.002 range, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And honestly, I was like, I didn't think that I would ever see that again. And now we're here, and people are flooding it and stuff, and I'm like, this is a Christmas sale. This is crazy. If you believe in the token and the utility that's coming, why in the world would you not jump at these prices?
Yeah, it's a Christmas miracle.
So isn't it funny how like the big, being in the crypto space for a while, you see kind of these ebbs and flows, and it broke down out of the sideways trading. It broke down significantly. Who didn't know that was going to happen? I wish I had known, because I bought a bunch more at 6.65 cents and 0.72 cents, and freaking could have been Christmas. And I am loading up at current prices. It's like the gift that's like, okay, well, shoot, I could have bought even better before, but why don't I take advantage of this now?
Yeah, same. I know you've been you said October 2017, Rain. What about the rest of you guys? D Money, DrOfStuff, when did you guys get in the crypto space?
Go for it, D Money.
Yeah, well, I was one of the people that came in specifically for, Omi was the first token that I really purchased. I had to go in through Coinbase and bought some Cardano and sent that over to Bit4X and bought some Omi, and that's been August, I believe. The very first anything that I bought in the crypto space was the Spider-Man secret rare. I actually landed one on the drop. And yeah, which is just bananas. And I was actually hanging out with Doc the night before, and he had told me a little bit about VeVe back in like April, May type of a thing. And so I at least signed up for the emails. I was getting emails about drops and things, and I saw Spider-Man come across the wire. And I was like, Doc, like how big into this Spider-Man do I need to be? And he was like, bro, if there's one thing that you ever buy right now, that like you need to try to buy this, and I just ended up lucking out. So yeah, I'm relatively new to the space.
Oh, okay. So that was like your first major thing. And it was because the influences over here, they had Doc and Rain.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I knew Doc a little bit better than I knew Rain at the time. But Rain and I had been chatting for a while as well. And so, yeah, I mean, it ended up being, like I said, just fortuitous that I at least had some of those conversations to where I could recognize the value when I saw it, because I just didn't, I saw the ghost trap. That was one thing that caught my eye, and I was like, oh man, like that's super cool, but it just wasn't enough for me to take the plunge. And when I saw the Marvel license come through and then Spider-Man, I was just like, I mean, and again, I had to ask still. I wasn't like, oh, 100% I'm going to do this, and fortunately Doc was like, no, bro, like you need to do this.
Yeah. And Doc, why was your level of conviction so high? Was it because Rain had talked about it, or because you had come to it independently?
Well, so Rain, so let me back up. So my introduction to crypto just in general, in 2013, a coworker of mine was super into like Bitcoin ish. Well, I say super, like he was talking a lot about it, and I was like, okay, like explain Bitcoin to me, and he's like, well, I mean, it's kind of like this magic internet money. And I was like, what? I'm like, so they just created out of thin air? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, I know, and so, like, it wasn't until 2017 that, like, as part of my job, I started kind of looking into the crypto space in general and understanding, because I'm in finance. And so, like, in 2017, I bought some Ethereum, really not knowing what it was, but I wanted to download the Coinbase app, and understand it a little bit better, and understand, like, not even knowing that was kind of like a custodial wallet or any of that stuff. And then I kind of forgot about it. Like Ethereum took a dive, and I was like, whatever. And then I sold it and bought some XRP and just kind of like dabbled. But it wasn't really until, and Rain had been talking to me for like a year about crypto, right? Like he'd been in it for a while, and he's like, I'm like throwing everything in. This is kind of the next step. And I was like, yeah. But with VeVe, what happened is he came to me in March and was like, you got to check this out, man. Because I definitely am a big DC and Marvel fan. And he was like, this is the first. So he shows me the Todd, right? Yeah. And that's what's available on the market. The Rizzo was sold out, but he was just like, and there was a ton of them on the market. I think my first buy was in like the 1700s of a Todd, on the market. But and he's like, this is the first like superhero on the blockchain. And I was like, that's like a pretty big deal, right? And so I started looking into it more and more, and more research I did. Just like I listened to every AMA, right, with Dan and David, and just really just took a deep dive into that, and read the tokenomics, a white paper of OMI, and I was just like, this is massive, man. And I was telling everyone, and no one would listen to me, man. And even now, like those people are just like they're in it now, but they're like, man, I wish I would have like jumped in when you were telling me about it back in like March and April of last year.
Yeah, those Todds going for like $400, and the Eddie Rizzo's going for like $1,500-$1,700. Wish. I mean, I had all of them at one point. I did sell the Todd recently, over the last like month, but I still got the rest of the set. Are you guys like collecting all the sets? Are you guys going and just like, nah, I'd like these one things over here? Are you doing it for the master collector points? What's y'all strategy?
That's a great question. Why don't we just kind of go in turn? Because we all have different strategies. I've got kind of a mix of both. So the things that I think will do really, really well as a collectible, like I bought a bunch of Winnie the Poohs I bought one of each of this series of the new Golden Moments sets that came out that day, but then a whole bunch of extra Winnie the Poohs, because probably when Disney people come in, that'll outperform the other stuff, just as a guess. So like, but I've gone back and completed some of the sets. I still don't have a Rizzo, but I have a few Todds. I did have 5, well, 3, 2 of them being my wife's, and she sold one and I sold one. So I still have 2. She has 1. I bought, unfortunately, a bunch of the Joe Madureira ones. I think the McFarlane was sold out, and I bought like 10 of the Madureira ones, and I sold a few of those. And so I'm just kind of trying to get enough sets that I get the MCP points and can qualify at a high level for like the upper tiers. And I plan to send a whole bunch of OMI into it, like a whole bunch, because I just accumulated a ton of it, so that, you know, hopefully I can get into those rare drops, and, you know, we'll see how that shakes out. But if I end up having to complete more sets to get the higher tier, I guess I will. But for now, I'm looking at appreciation percentage wise, combined with taking into account what sets.
Do you guys wear that $50,000 staking tier, like that highest one?
Yeah, for OMI. I mean, that's not official, right? But that they've mentioned that multiple times. That's probably going to be like a threshold for OMI, where if it's $50,000 worth of OMI. So if that varies, right? If you dip below it, you get kicked out. You got to put more in to get those the rewards from that staking tier. But that's going to be huge. Like, if depending on how they play it with what rewards you get for having that staking tier. But if those rewards are pretty substantial, right, you could have a lot of people who are like, I'm gonna be staking 50 grand worth of OMI to get, you know, either these points or into these, you know, exclusive drops for some of these bigger ticket items. So
no, agreed. Can't wait.
So if you were to get 50K of OMI today, and then if it does what I think it'll do, it'd be really easy to maintain that number, because then what I love about OMI is that functional use case, a reason to really just hold it and keep it, that they're giving people. And if those drops are significant, and, you know, getting into that class is significant, then OMI will go through the roof. If it's kind of like, oh, you get early access to this IP that nobody's ever heard of, and we think they're really cool, but it's like, it's like, oh, you get special access to the Wolverine drop. It's like, yes, oh my gosh. And the OMI token goes crazy, right? So
I always have the Wolverine.
There we go.
I need to have a Darth Vader mask.
Yeah, that would be,
because that's the one that I'm excited for. And but you know, I mean, to your point, Rain, like, you are right that it is like, it needs to be something, right? Something that's a little bit more exciting. But they are adding utility to the OMI token, you know, and that's exciting to see, right? You know, and so whether it's the staking tiers or, you know, OMI to NFT, that sort of a thing, there is at least a use case for the OMI token, which, you know, with regards to a lot of other a lot of other crypto projects, like, they frankly just don't have a lot of use case. And I don't want to, so I'll just go ahead and tell real quick of what my strategy is with OMI, just to kind of button that up. But like, or to VeVe, like, for me, I'm not as high of a roller as these guys. And so, I mean, I do a lot of, you know, just kind of trying to flip off the drops. You know, I have a couple full sets. The one that I'm like most proud of is the Ultraman set, and that's not even that big of a deal at this point. But I do have a few sets, and then some, you know, at least one Grail piece. And so I am just trying to, you know, you know, to flip and to be able to just add value as I'm able to, you know, make some decent returns on some drops that I grab. And and that sort of a thing. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, so which Ultraman set do you have? Is that all the posters or the one with
the
Edo?
collectibles?
Okay.
Yeah, the Edo. I was lucky enough to land the Edo on the drop, and I needed that one. I had the other three. Doc was pissed. Like we text all the time, you know, about drops, and like that was, I think that's the only time that you've called me after a drop, and you were like, I'm ready to freaking throw my phone against the wall. Like, I can't believe you just got that, you know, and it hasn't turned out to be like, you know, that big of a deal. You know, I'm like, well, I'll trade you for your Walt statue, like, because I didn't get that one, you know, and so like, yeah.
There's so many people that have been selling their stuff for Omi because they know that the trade-off right now is relatively even, but for like a Walt to 4x, it would have to be an all-time high. It would have to go to like $72,000, which I'm sure it will. But you know, for Omi to 4x, that's relatively that would, I guess, be almost all-time high for us as well. But we just haven't had that utility yet, which we're getting. But again, that Walt for 18,000 gems, you could go and probably get for like $10,000 or $12,000 if you do it in any type of currency, whether it's Omi, USDT, something like that. Have you guys partaken in those types of transactions?
The off-market transactions, is that what you're saying? No, man. Like I've thought about it. I've been tempted multiple times, and I will not throw shade at anyone who does that. Like, my thing is this: I will throw shade at the people who do the off-market transactions, but then complain about bots.
Yeah,
that's the only shit I'll throw there, because I'm like, you can't have it both ways, man. The reason you're getting these off-market transactions is because of the bots, but you're the one feeding the bots. If no one was doing those off-market transactions, there would be no reason for the bots to be there because they wouldn't be able to extract that value, right? So, like, for me, I mean, it's and I'll jump on to like the collecting strategy. I am more about the twofold, the investment portion of it, which, man, I've had people on Twitter Spaces and they're like, it's a collectibles app. And I'm like, agreed. I agree. But at the same time, when someone buys a piece of art that they absolutely love, not all the time, but a lot of the time, if they're buying a Picasso, it's also for the social flex. And then, like, I can afford this, but then also the potential appreciation, right? Yeah. And if VeVe truly was just a collectibles app, we wouldn't have a marketplace. You know, the expectation would be you just buy it and you like it and you show it off in AR, but they have this secondary market for a reason. But so like I do the investment portion of it, but then also, so I have about like, I think it's like 46 or 47 sets. So not, I mean, whatever, like that's okay. Like I look at some of those other people that are just like 90, 110. I'm not there, but like, so I'm kind of middle of the pack there, but I'm stacking a lot. I've stacked a lot of the comics and things of the ones that I think that are underappreciated, and stacking that. And then kind of as they go up in value, selling some off. And then if the value dips again, just buying back in and trying to collect more of the, like what I feel are very substantial and important comics. Yeah.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I would also think that if you have like a cheaper amount of sets, like, or not cheaper amount, if you have a smaller amount of sets, it would get harder to compete in that master collector program from those people that have 80 plus sets. So I didn't go too crazy with it. I sold a few sets and put a lot into like the alligator Lokis just because I like them. But I have a Riso, have first appearance. It was Fantastic Four #1, that one, which that was pretty well. But what are some of you guys grails or grail goals that you guys have?
I'll talk about this. So my luck on VeVe drops, I can't say I haven't had any. Do you remember that comic drop with what's his name? It was the first one that only had 10,000 mints.
Oh, the King drop.
The King drop, right?
Yeah.
I got like a secret rare on that drop with a really low mint number. So like, I can't say I haven't had good luck, but I had to buy Spider-Man, the secret rare. I had to buy it on the resale market. I bought one off DrOfStuff for 1 ETH at the time because he needed more liquidity that side, and getting that many gems in was a pain, right? So we worked out that deal, and then the price dropped to about 1,800, and I was like, oh, but I knew the long term was good, and it was a fair deal at the time. DrOfStuff happened to land 2 on that drop because it got a rebound too, which was amazing. And so I had to buy it, and then I bought another one. So that was kind of the one that I was like, this one's going to do amazing. And even though I paid $3,000, dropped 1,800, I was like, that'll do well. But I didn't get a Walt Disney statue, and I was dumb because I was emotional about it because it said I got it on the drop, but I didn't. That was one of the drops where it like gave you the thing, and then you didn't really get it. And so I was so mad about that I needed to just break down and pay the $2,000 or whatever it was trading for. And I was just like, oh, and still trying to get over that. I was like, I know I'm acting irrational, but and I didn't buy it. So now I don't have one, and I'm like, oh man. So because that one is special, right? So and just taking the time to buy that was really dumb of me for not taking the time. But with that said, I mean, when the comics came out, right, and like Spider-Man #1 and the Marvel #1, right, and then like everyone was dumping their comments. They were $7, and you actually had about 10 minutes that you could buy some and everything. So I ended up getting some, and then people were dumping their comments for like $4, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll just go through, and I was just buying as many as I could, and I was like, all the semi-low mints are gone, and I'll buy some more later. And I forgot to keep checking in because my goal was to accumulate like 300 of them. I ended up getting like 50, which I can't complain about because they went to what, $800 a piece or something, right?
Yeah, they went up really high.
Yeah, they went crazy. And like my brother calls me and he's like, hey, you seen these? They're going for like $800. Like, no, what? How many of those do I have? Let me check. Oh, man. I forgot to go in and buy more, but oh gosh, at least I was acting pretty smart here.
Did you sell some?
Yeah, I sold like 10, but I rolled it into things at the time that were relatively cheap that have gotten way cheaper.
Yeah.
So the smartest move would have been just to keep it in liquid and gems, but I didn't know it wasn't clear how big the pullback would be, even though I felt like there'd be a pullback. Just didn't know how big it would be, and it's been pretty big. And that just goes through that space, right? 2 steps forward, 1 step back all the time in the crypto space. Yeah,
we've had that for been like a month or like maybe like a month and a half now. That from all-time highs kept going down and down. Have like D-Money, DrOfStuff, have you guys capitalized on any of that, on all the cheap things?
All I did, I was just talking to Rain before this. I sold one of my Iron Man golden moments, and then I just like FOMO'd into stuff that was high also, so that's just gone down probably more than the Iron Man has, so it was kind of dumb. It is what it is. What I was trying to do, and this goes back to to the Grail piece, question, is I was trying to scratch together enough gems to grab an ultra rare Steamboat Mickey. And that really is for me probably like the #1 Grail piece. I just think, and you can talk about first appearance, whatever you want with the Walt statue, which is still obviously an amazing piece, but the first NFT of the first cartoon, like crazy, right? So for me, that's just something that for one thing I think will do very well over time, but I just want to have that piece and I don't have it yet. I probably should just stack up and put some money in to gems and just grab it while we are down a little bit. So that's kind of my #1 gem, or my #1 Grail piece that I'm looking to grab right now. There are others, of course. But what about you, Doc? What's something that you don't have that you really want?
Man, the Rizzo and the HQ19. Those are the 2 pieces. I mean, I've got a decent amount of Grails. Got a Walt or Partner statue. Got the Spider-Man Secret Rare. Got the ultra rare Mickey, which man, I do love that piece. Like it's it has that music too with it, and I FOMO'd into that. I mean, I got a pretty low mint. So what happened with me and the advantage, I sold my Givenchy. I had a pretty low mint Givenchy that I sold for about 12 grand. And then I use those tokens to buy the ultra rare Mickey, low mint ultra rare Mickey, and then just start completing some of those sets, you know? And while it's been down, like, honestly, I keep looking. For me, this is my thought with the investment strategy as I'm collecting too, is I'm looking at the stuff that I think is undervalued. And right now I think the rare comics, all the rare comics are way undervalued for what they provide point wise to the master collector program. I mean, if you're trying to kind of dollar cost average per point right now, I mean, the cheapest collectible on the app is maybe like 20 to 30 bucks. And that's like 1 point, you know, whereas your rare comics are around 20 bucks or 17 or even $15 sometimes. And that's going to give you 2 points. So I'm looking at stuff like that and I'm saying, all right, well, when the master collector program comes out and people do start foaming into trying to get points, what's going to pump? So looking at that stuff, but going back to the grails that I wish I had, the Rizzo, I mean, yeah, man, and the HQ19, those two pieces together, like I want those, and I will get them. And so my thought is that I'm buying more and more OMI right now because I think it's just so low. And then if/when that OMI pumps, right, and then you can do OMI to NFT, I'm going to get into the HQ19 and the Rizzo.
I can't wait for that OMI to NFT. They did say OMI utility as far as raffles and betting the OMI for Q2, which is in a couple days, next quarter. OMI to NFT, I don't know if they mentioned that for Q2 in there. It sounded like they hinted at it, but maybe they weren't sure. They didn't want to say anything definitive. How much OMI are you guys, like percentage-wise, are you guys saving? Like, hey, this is just for me, this is my nest egg, versus I'm going to put this into the app and I'm going to buy everything with it.
I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead because my plan with my OMI is to just stake it. I don't intend, and that can certainly change. I'm really hoping that when the VeVeverse drops, that the OMI staking is going to be key to potentially buy real estate in the VeVeverse. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those for me, where I'm hoping to look back, 20 years from now and just say like, man, I made the right call. It was life-changing wealth, and I'm just kind of not going to touch it. That's my take on it right now. I could be wrong, certainly.
Yeah, mine. I think I have 15% of my OMI in the app, which is mostly for staking. But yeah, the land is what I'm excited for. Also, You guys,
interesting to see how that comes out. I'll probably sell, like I have some of mine for investment reasons, right? Just to sell it when it goes high, and some of it for staking in the app to qualify for the master collector status. That I'll probably keep that and plus a buffer, but I'll take profits when it goes crazy, and I feel like it will. So take profits when it goes crazy and everybody's FOMOing in, and then buy it again when it goes low and everybody's talking about how boring it is.
It's great to have the ebbs and flows of the market where you can recognize that.
These patterns repeat themselves over and over and over again. When you hear everyone talking about how terrible the price is and how horrible it is, to me that's like, okay, buy signal. Like it's that simple. And when everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy, I'm selling my house to buy some of this, it's like, ooh, sell signal, right? So
that's a good point. I mean, we've touched the 0.0085 a couple of times. We haven't broken past there in quite a while. I think when we finally do, that'll probably be one of the signals. But Dr. O, percentage-wise, what are you spending? How much are you spending on using that OMI to spend, and how much are you saving for like the nest egg? Again, percentage-wise, you don't have to say the exact amount.
I mean, honestly, the only things I want to buy, like right now at least, are the Rizzo and the HQ19. Yeah. Everything else, I mean, who knows what will drop in between then, though, right? Because there might be some other drops, but I feel like I have almost everything else that I really want. So that's what it is. So whatever the cost is there, like I'm going to make sure that like I have that OMI. But most of it is, I think that OMI is so undervalued that I do. I am holding it more for, well, the staking, a portion of that absolutely, but then more for the investment when it really does pump. And I'm not super good at timing the market, but this is what I've decided is my sell signal. I remember in January, some of my buddies who I talked to in March and April of last year that have kind of been following VeVe, they're like, oh, like how much is this worth now? You know, like should I jump in? And that was at the point where I told him, I said, if I were you, if I was a new person jumping in, I would not be buying these things at these prices.
Yeah.
And yet I was still buying things at those prices, you know? And I was like, oh my gosh, like why? So I think going forward, that's going to be one of my sell signals is if people are jumping in, some of my buddies, and I'm like, man, I don't want to like lead these people astray. Would I tell these people to jump in and buy some of these things? And if the answer to that is no, then that's what I'm going to be like, maybe I'm going to start selling some things because we have kind of hit a peak. And then just wait. And then, because we talked about strategies, I'm like, I'm holding some gems off for when the MTL comes out because I know that prices are going to tank. But I just saw so many things that like started to drop, and I was like, well, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this, not realizing that it was going to drop as substantially as it has. And we still don't even have MTL yet, you know?
Yeah.
That was surprising to me. But anyways, to answer your question, the majority of mine is going to go for investment and holding that. Then whatever I need for the staking, depending on what the staking tiers are, like what they offer, I'm going to be allocating there. And then really the other just to purchase is really going to be for that Harley Quinn. And one other thing too, I'd like to know your thoughts on this, Randy, but like
sure.
There's going to be some drops that are only in OMI, but it's going to be like non-IP stuff, right? Which complete OMI burns, which I think are going to be awesome. And like, I feel like there's some pretty cool stuff that they could do. Like even like the physicals, what if they had like in your, you know, the VeVe background, like little light thing that some of, you know, the Randy man.
Got it over there.
Oh, you do got it. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you should be one of those people who got it, but like, what if you could buy that off the drop, the NFT, and then you get that physical that they ship or something?
Oh, that'd be great. I mean, that should be what the promo codes, part of what they should be for before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're going to have, I think we're going to have, it wasn't supposed to be like this. We're supposed to get MTL first, but I think we're going to have OMI to NFT before all of MTL is rolled out, if that is indeed Q2. So you might not have to take your gems, and you could use that on other stuff, and then sell that stuff for OMI, and then cash out that way. But for that, they have a couple of things planned. Land should be 100% OMI burn, which is going to be freaking huge, because I've seen that before in like Decentraland, My Neighbor Alice, Earth 2. People go insane for land that is good and maybe it's in good locations, but speculation on this, I feel like all of our, at least the IP that we currently have, like Marvel, DC, Disney, they might have their own separate sections within the VeVeverse, which should mean the land around it should go for really, really large amounts. Because again, you would get that foot traffic if you are in between Disney and Marvel land, and you have a bunch of foot traffic, you should be able to go and put up like a sign or a billboard and be able to get ad revenue at some point, or just have somebody, not even from a major corporation, just somebody like, oh, hey, I'll rent that sign out for $100 a month. Go subscribe to Real Randy Chavez. But to your comment that we have, I brought this up at DesignerCon, and Reese liked it. I said, hey, wouldn't it be great to just have like a VeVe toilet paper in the VeVeverse, so you could like throw it at other people's houses and TP them? I said, like, that's a really great idea.
That's amazing.
That would be so funny.
But I think the houses are probably maybe only meant to be one level, but obviously it should be an upgrade for the showrooms, and it shouldn't cost that much more money. Because again, even if you don't have land wide, you should be able to build it high. Oh, let me pay another $100 to get a second floor, and so on and so forth. And I think you'll have a lot of people going and kind of swinging their stuff there. They're like, oh, I have a 100-story high house, and feel like, oh, I have that same thing, but you know, over two plots of land instead. So I think that'd be really fun. And what was the last part of your question? You said the IP. Oh, like drops, like VeVe specific drops, like of David Yu, or like David Yu's hairline.
if your avatar could have like David Hughes hair.
I'd get that for like my Lokis. I'd get that for Pikachu and Pikachu drop. It had David Hughes there.
It'd be so amazing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? There's so many opportunities there. Like it really is endless of like what they could then do with the OMI burn. I know that there's been so much FUD about like the buybacks not happening, and it's like, look, that wasn't on their radar that the SEC could potentially look at their token like a security. And as soon as that came out, right, they're in discussions with their attorneys to figure that out. If it can't happen, and everyone's like, well, it's not deflationary. And I'm like, no. First of all, it still is deflationary. Like when you have OMI to NFT, like in those sales, there is that 2.5% that's going to be burned.
Yeah.
So there's all these other mechanisms that they can implement to truly burn the token so much faster than just these buybacks, you know? So anyways, I'm extremely bullish on all the things that they have, the potential they have to burn it OMI. Yeah.
All right. So I was wondering, I guess a couple of things. One was that they're coming out with a web app soon, most likely in the next quarter as well. And it's supposed to kind of circumvent the 30% fees that Apple and Google currently get. Every dollar that goes in, 30 cents goes to them. But for the withdrawal, that will circumvent that. So they're saving like 25+% just on the web app because the fees on there should be pretty minimal. But on the withdrawal, there's about a 10% withdrawal fee, which I think is small if you're comparing it to like HRO, I think it's like 30%. And what that does, they haven't said, but I think that can burn some OMI as well, at least from the reserve wallet. So that and the math on what a company like this' market cap would be. People like myself have said, oh, maybe $10 like next decade, if we burn enough in the market cap. So what's your guys' thoughts on the burn mechanisms as far as withdrawal fees or NFT, and then based on like the market cap of this company and this coin, what do you think that could be? Maybe not necessarily the OMI price, but the market cap of what the token should be.
Yeah, it's interesting where it can go, right? So they have so many mechanisms that fundamentally, like when it really hits public consciousness. And what's funny is this public consciousness is an interesting thing. Todd McFarlane's were available on the market for forever. And like I was stocking up on them. It was like mint number 1400 and 1426. And then I'd buy like a day later and it was 1437, right? And it's like, wow, these are selling really slow. Yeah. And it's like, I don't see why these won't be amazing, because it should do really, really well. I mean, this Batman is incredible. And okay, it's like $100. Yes, and the Rizzo is even cheaper, but those are gone now. This one's going to do amazing. And you almost start to question whether you're right on that. Well, isn't that the case with the OMI token right now? There's like it's set up so it should do amazing in the future, and it's not presently. And people are starting to lose faith, like, oh, it's not happening yet, so therefore it's not going to happen. No, it's just not happening yet, and it's going to go crazy, because then as it starts to go crazy, then people start talking about, oh my gosh, all this burn is happening. We already know that the burn is happening and going to happen more. Number two, like, okay, so they updated CoinGecko, so it's showing the real market cap, not the overinflated one. So the market cap's under $1 billion right now, which is awesome. So I think the OMI price goes crazy. And what was interesting is, having been here in March of last year, right, and not being new to crypto and looking at market caps and price appreciation, what was interesting about OMI, it was so hard to get, and yet there were a lot of people, and this is really, really unusual, that their very first buy in crypto was OMI, even with how hard it was to get. Like, you had to buy Bitcoin, send it to somewhere and get it. And so, but they count OMI as their first purchase, even though they had to buy Bitcoin, send it to some random Bitforex exchange or some other exchange in order to buy it. And they're like, I hold OMI, and they hold nothing else in crypto, and they have OMI. So it hit the same kind of status that meme coins hit, right? And like Dogecoin, people don't know anything about crypto, and they're like, I bought Doge. But Doge has nothing good about it fundamentally. Shiba Inu, like not that much good about it fundamentally, but people are like, yeah, I hold Shiba, and then like Omi hit meme coin status without even being in meme coin, which is a good thing on my from my standpoint. It's an amazing thing, and if it hits that kind of meme coin status again, where people don't really know anything about crypto, but they're like, I bought $10,000 worth of Omi, or I bought $500 worth of Omi, and especially as it gets on other exchanges, it's easier to get. And people are like, yeah, you don't know anything about crypto, but you have to buy some Omi. If it does that again, where it can go is crazy. Where it will go if that doesn't happen, I like to think about price per token. I think anywhere from 6 to 30 cents. If it doesn't do something like that, if it does do something like that, it can hit $1. So whether it will, I don't know. We just talk about probabilities and just what are some possible outcomes. Is what I'd be looking for. Like I'm looking for these price targets 6 to 30 cents. That doesn't happen. If I see that happening, I'm going to take profits a little bit slower until it hits some big numbers.
T-Money, Dr. Of you guys stuff on what the market, basically on just what the market cap you think should be. I mean, you could do it like Rain said, and just like what the price of per token should be, in your opinion, just based on the IP that we have, based on what's coming, based on plans that we might not know about.
I'll let you go, Doc. I feel like Rain covered it really well, and this frankly is not my expertise. So go ahead, Doc.
I mean, Rain and I talk about this quite a bit, right? And so yeah, market cap, like it's under $1 billion with the token burn. I mean, it's funny. Someone made that post, right, that you put up there that like Crypto Rain, the OG, like Omi to $10. And like people laugh about that. Let me just point something out, right? There's this kind of like meme that goes on the internet, right, about this guy's tweet, where basically he was like, "Oh my gosh, Bitcoin's down to $3 again. Like I can't even handle this anymore. Like I'm out," right? And everyone just laughs at that, and they're like, "Oh, well, they're laughing now, right?" But I wonder how many of those people who are laughing now were like reading his tweet then and being like, "Yeah, man, totally get it," And the thing with Omi, there's so much that we don't know, but there's so much that we do know. And all of the things that we do know, like Rain said, like we have the VeVe-verse, we have all of these token burns, the utility is all coming. Now, there's still some things like, look, I'm quote unquote an Omi moon boy, but like I also don't mind calling things out, right? They have been slow, and I'm so grateful for this latest AMA where they kind of pointed out where a lot of their funds are going, right? They're only getting like 55 cents on the dollar, right? Like for all this stuff with the Apple fees, and that
I think even less.
Yeah, well, for sure less, because then they have to pay the licensors, right, for these collectible drops. So like they're not getting a lot, and so I was like, okay, so they're not making nearly as much money as I thought they were, and so maybe that's why like the devs, I thought that they would have way more devs than they do. So once the conversion to the web app, I'm like, I'm committed. I'm going to be buying my gems off there. I want to support them as much as possible. But anyways, so we're going to, there are definitely some things that they need to work on, and that slower pace is not good because the crypto space moves fast. But all that being said, when they implement this token utility, and we already know that they have some major IP, right, that everyone keeps alluding to, like, and there's certain steps that have to happen before it makes sense for them to even drop something like a Pokemon if they have that, or other major IP. But all of these things are coming, right? And so when I look at that, like, and with these token burns, I'm looking at 3 to 5 years, right? And Jeremy Padawar kind of did this thing where he did some math on like what the token burn could be. And then you go to the market cap, and really if you get some massive token burns with the VeVe-verse and things, that like, why couldn't Omi be $1 or $5 in like 3 to 5 years, right? And that market cap won't be as high because the token burn has been so substantial. So, I mean, I do kind of thinking of where the market cap could be if they have a VeVe-verse going, and they have all the massive IP, and in that VeVe-verse you can buy like Nike, at like sneaker NFTs, or if they partner with other major IPs, and one of their VeVe-verse is one of the main metaverses. Honestly, the market cap could be, I mean, I don't even know, 50 billion, 100 billion. Like if you have worldwide adoption, it could go even higher than that, right? Like, so anyways, those are some of my thoughts.
Yeah, the reason why I went and tried to focus on market cap is because Cathie Wood came out like a month or two ago, saying that she believes by 2030 Ethereum will have a $20 trillion market cap. I was like, whoa, that's and granted it's in 8 years from now, but I figure if we are not, you know, one tenth of that market cap, and we have, let's say, a 200 billion circulating supply as far as OMI tokens left, we burned 112 billion. By that time, you know, how do we get to a $2 trillion market cap? And it would be a $10 OMI. I was like, oh, all right, that's how the math works. So that was just my quick opinion on that. But when do you guys start taking profit? When do you guys start to go and say, all right, you know what, 3 cents, 10 cents, and how much percentage? Do you take like 5% of your holdings and sell that? What's your guys' strategy on that?
My thought is 6 to 10 cents is when I'm looking, right? But sometimes I take profits a little bit early if, say, OMI goes crazy, but some other things I really like are really, really cheap. Like right now, I'm buying more OMI. Why? Because it's relatively really cheap and some other things are up. And so I'm selling them, rolling into more OMI. And so that's just, I sell high and buy lows. But my like take profit zones are between 6 to 10 cents. I do watch closely and kind of update that based on what all is going on. And I know there will be a lot of people that start taking profits earlier, and I don't blame them, right? It's never a bad idea when it's gone up enough to take your initial out completely and put it on the sides. That way you have worry-free money going forward. So if you put 1,000 into it or 10,000 and it goes up like 5x from what you bought, it's not a bad idea. And nobody blames you if you sell 20% to get all your money back out. I mean, that's just what smart investors do. Yeah. So I'm way bullish on this, and my risk profile is probably different from a lot of viewers. So for me, it's 6 to 10 cents, unless there's something so cheap and say, you know, it's at like 4 cents and something else is down 95%, then of course I'm going to sell some off early to buy what's really cheap, which is part of what I'm doing right now to fund even more OMI, even though I was very happy with my position. It's at like Christmas Day prices. So I've been like, okay, what's up that I could sell to buy some more?
Yeah, I'm definitely a rainmaker. You know, that's what we call Rain's audience, right? Is people who follow his principles of investing, and so for me, getting that initial out is important, like very important. And where, you know, the initials that I put in were around 2.6 and 2.8. You know, if for that number to 10x for me, and to be able to pull out my initials and then be able to kind of take a free ride from that point on with the 90% that I still have, like that makes all the sense in the world to me. So that's probably when I'll be looking is more like a 3 cent.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go more with like what Rain is saying too, like with the 3 to 6 cents, but only a small portion of that, because 3 to 6 cents, that's going to take out way more than my initial, and I'll be good there. But like I just talked about a 3 to 5 year plan, you know, and like Rain said, like it's going to depend on what is happening in the market. Like OMI is definitely one of my bigger bags of stuff, but like I definitely have, I think I'm in like 40 or 50 different other crypto projects, you know, with Metaverse Land and just a lot of things going on. So when I tweet, you know, it's funny because like I feel bad, I quote unquote feel bad for people who follow me on Twitter who are only OMI maximalists or VeVe maximalists. You know, they see some of my tweets and they're just like, I don't care about any of these other projects. Like you're not tweeting about OMI, but like, yeah, I would say 3 to 6 cents is when I'm going to start looking at that. But like, I'm kind of more of like a hodler in general. Like I'll definitely take some profits, but like once I do have those initials out, I think that if OMI nails it, yeah, there are opportunities where I could sell this and potentially get into something else. But like, I don't have as strong conviction with any other project as I do with VeVe. And so for me, I'm just like, with the token so cheap, even at 3 to 6 cents, if I just said that I see a $3 to $5 OMI, and then, you know, like in the next 3 to 5 years, or like even if it's at $1, like that's still such a substantial multiple from where we're at right now that I'm like I probably won't be taking too much profits out because I'm going to hold, and with the expectation that if the team even partially nails a lot of the stuff that's coming down the road, that token really will increase in value. So,
yeah, same. I did some back of the napkin math the other day and noticed that if we have the same amount of drops, and that doesn't change until January, and through the rest of the year, if we just have 3 comics and 1 drop each week, and we get to, let's say, 10 million monthly active users, we would burn like 102 billion OMI, I think. And then if the next 14 weeks of next year, if suddenly we catch up and we have 8 drops per week, which again they want to do this year, but let's say it doesn't happen until next year, just off that and secondary market alone, that would be like another 100 billion OMI in the next 14 weeks of next year, and that's without the VeVe-verse. So either we start really burning through this reserve and circulating supply, or the price goes up. That's kind of my thing. What do you guys do when you take profit? How much do you save for tax? How much do you try to wait for something to go down and then sell it real quick and then buy it back just to take that loss and try to go and counteract your profits? What are you guys' strategy with that?
I always do trades. I think about the tax implications, but I do trades. I used to when I was new and I was trying to get to a significant position where I would take these short-term trades where I'm like, okay, I think it's going to go down from here. So I'm going to sell, take the ride down, and then buy it. But after missing 3 or 4 out of 5 times, when it started swinging up and I ended up rebuying in for above what I sold it, I don't usually take those trades anymore unless it's so cut and dry. That's exactly what's going to happen. I just hold for longer periods, 3 to 6 months. Some of the stuff I've held for longer periods, so it falls into a long-term gain rather than a short-term gain. So that the tax incentives, my thought is this: I take profits when it's way up because I'd rather say you have $1,000 invested, just for round numbers, and say sometimes in order to save on taxes, you'll take some positions and not take profits out when, say, it goes 20x. So your 1,000 turned into 20,000, but you're like, nah, tax implications. So then by the time you sell it, you sell it at $3,000, and that's great, you have favorable tax implications, but you could have sold it at $20,000 and just paid whatever higher tax bracket you would have had to pay. And I think now it's just like, okay, I'll pay the tax man. Like, oh shoot, he's gonna eat my lunch on this. Well, great, that's gonna pave some roads, and this is the highest point I think to take profits at. I'm just gonna eat the taxes on it. That's fine. It's just part of the game.
I'd say 30%, man. That's what I do. When I'm taking profits, I take 30% of those profits and I set them aside for the tax man, just in case. I know that I'm more conservative in my investing like that. I don't like to be leveraged. And so if I could invest at 30% and it could go higher, it'd also go lower. Right. And so, yep, I do that. But then, like you said, one of the strategies that I think is important, this is the first time, I definitely got heavily into crypto last year. And so I'm doing my taxes this year. And it's a bear, man. There's not a lot of software out there that really tracks things very well. And so they're not capturing some of my cost basis on stuff. But one thing that I learned, right, and you alluded to this, Randy, is there is no 30-day wash rule with crypto like there is with stocks, right?
Okay.
So basically, if your position is down near the end of the year on stuff, you should just sell and buy back. You just sell it and you lock in that loss for that year and then buy back, and hopefully it goes up. Whereas if you don't sell, you don't get to account for that loss in your taxes, right? So that's something important. Now, that might change. Maybe this year they do lock in a 30-day wash rule or something, but that is something to take into consideration is when you're at a loss position on certain things, selling and then buying immediately right back, it resets your cost basis, but then you can take losses for tax purposes. But anyways.
Yeah, it's good advice, Doc. And I'm in the same boat, really. This is my first year of doing it. And so, and my positions in the crypto space are so much smaller, Rain, I don't know how many projects you're invested in, hundreds, stock, tens. I'm in like less than 10 basically, so it's just not, it's going to be a bigger deal for me next year for sure. But I love that advice from Doc for sure. I mean,
not financial advice. I'm
well,
not
sure.
I just want to put that out there, but that is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So the reason I asked that is because I have I sold pretty much everything last year. Like why I have such a big bag of Omis, because I went all in. I sold Tesla stock. I sold all my Pokemon cards. I sold pretty much everything I had. And because that all went through my accounts, then it shows as income and as revenue. And it's just wasn't sure what to do. I wanted to see what you guys were doing. All right. Thank you for that. Any Real talk, any opinions on Apple Pay enabled on MetaMask and what that might do, just I guess for crypto at large, NFT projects at large, but more specifically VeVe and Omi?
I'll let you go first, Rain. What do you think?
Yeah, we were going to cover it on our live stream today, which we did just a couple hours ago, and we ran out of time. So yeah, Rain, what are your thoughts?
It's just another step towards mass adoption, right? So you're seeing all these on-ramps that didn't exist in 2017. Many of the audience weren't here in 2017, but it's amazing how far we've come. In 2017, I thought when I saw this technology, it's going to be huge, and I was shocked at how few people got it. The big champion of cryptocurrency and that Bitcoin is going to happen was John McAfee at the time. If you think about it, like on the national stage, John McAfee would be a C or D player compared to people like Elon Musk and like Kathy Woods and like the big A-level players that are renouncing it. But still, you haven't seen mass adoption happen. But you are seeing the on-roads to mass adoption being paved that like it's like that people can, because if you think about the complexity, how hard was it to buy Omi a year ago? You're like, oh, okay. How do I get it? Oh, what's Coinbase? How do I buy on Coinbase? Wait, then I have to send Bitcoin to, how do I do that? And literally you're sitting down with your friend for 2 hours trying to help them get money over there so they can buy Omi. What if it's as simple as using Apple Pay and they're like, oh, I can buy 2,000 Omi. Oh, $25. Oh yeah, simple. Let me just buy 2,000 Omi every week, So the on-ramps are coming so that, things can happen so much quicker.
Agreed. Do you think that'll be a catalyst for Omi?
It'll be one of the things that helps. So we'll see how this all shakes out. Like one of the reasons you take profits while you're ahead is because you never know. Like one of the reasons I'm so big on Omi and that we're dedicating like a live stream that we do once a week on Omi, and I've talked so much about him, is because I like it as a strategic bet. But you never know if somebody's going to come in and change it. So that's why it's smart to take profits while you're ahead, because it's not completely unrealistic to think that Omi could be $10 in 10 years from now. It could be, but the word could is very strong. That's why as an investor, I'm like, nah, I take some money out, but then I leave some money for the long ride, right? That's like, oh, it could go to $10. And then when it does, it's like, you've taken your profits out. It's a risk-free bag. You've taken your initial out. You've probably taken some profits, and then you just can earn a strong position to let it ride. And with Omi, most of the stuff I'm going to be selling. I do think we have a massive leg of the bull run coming in the next 3 to 6 months, and it will be amazing, making last March look small. And I'll be taking a lot of profits, almost entirely out of just about everything, except for Omi, because their damn master collector program that I'm like, I've got to keep something in there to keep it. And it's so smart, right? I won't be able to sell all my Omi. I won't even want to, because I want to keep that full status so that I can get all those drops, because the inner collector in me will not let go of that.
Yeah.
One of the more interesting things that we shared on our channel, or on Rain's channel recently, was it was a chart that was put out by Wells Fargo, and it showed the direction that crypto adoption is going versus the adoption of the internet. So, it started in like whatever it was, like 1997 for the internet, and then, in 2010 or something like that with crypto. And it just showed this parallel line. There were these two parallel lines of adoption as the years went forward. And for me, I mean, you know, I remember getting on the internet, which was basically like just some like, you know, chat boards, right? Mm-hmm. And like dialing into some chat board thing, and like you had to have credits that like you bought with like a 900 number. Like it was super sketch town. This was when I was like 12 years old, right? And like and then all of a sudden like America Online was just mailing CDs out, like CD-ROMs in the mail for, you know, and that's still, like, you think about what a big deal that was compared to, you know, what I was doing on these chat board things. But we had no idea that, you know, that these were going to exist and we were going to have the internet all the time, and how big the adoption was going to be. And so for me, news like that with the Apple Pay and MetaMask is, you know, is it AOL mailing out CDs? Probably not yet, you know, but it is just another step that just shows where the mass adoption is coming.
So to answer your question, Randy, I do think that it's going to be a bigger catalyst for OMI, right? Because it is a pain. It's a pain. I've talked to so many people. Now, we'll see how big, because there are other exchanges that OMI will eventually get on, right? So if it gets on Coinbase, right, that's pretty simple too, and it'll probably be cheaper than doing that. But until then, the ability to be able to be like, oh no, just use your Apple Pay and you can buy it, and then through MetaMask, and that ease of access, that's when tokens really start. I mean, to gain adoption, and that trading volume increases pretty substantially. You know, I think that the statistics are something like, you know, a token that gets listed on a major exchange experiences like a 15 to 40% bump in price that then settles back down at around 12 to 15% of what it was beforehand going forward, you know? And so like, if you can consider that MetaMask becomes like this other exchange with very easy access, like a fiat on-ramp access, and then that with the token utility that's coming with OMI, that combined, like it has the potential for OMI to pump even faster, then, because we don't know when these other exchanges are coming.
Agreed. I think that also they haven't done any marketing for this really as well.
Right.
And part of the reason why I love it is that they're similar to Tesla, and the fact that they don't really need to do marketing. The collectibles kind of sell themselves. But also in that aspect, I think that other people, like if they give out a Randy Chavez NFT, I'm going to do marketing myself. Like if they had a Crypto Rain channel NFT, you guys would probably do it. So I think that if they could probably get other YouTubers, like, hey, we'll do we'll give away your NFT, we'll sell it, we'll give you a portion of the proceeds. That's probably what's going to happen with it. One of the other things I was thinking of is that Michael Saylor has just taken out, I think, $205 million loan to get more Bitcoin. When do you guys see institutional investing, smart money move from Bitcoin, Ethereum, and go into other altcoins like Cardano and like Solana, or potentially OMI, considering that we are the only crypto currently associated with Disney?
We are seeing it a little bit, right, Rain? I know that I've seen articles about Cardano, at least, right?
So I got distracted a little bit. The audience could see me looking away. My friend texted me and said Comey bought HRO, and I was trying my best to verify that.
What?
I hadn't heard that. So it's not verified. So I missed the question, because that would be huge news if that's true. HRO just released some DC collectible cards that you buy the packs and you can scan them in. They just did a pre-sale on it. I ordered a bunch myself. But I was like, please send links. And so I got you links, because that would be big news. They will have some.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it
that you could scan. Yeah, and I just Googled it to see. That might be fake news. That would be big news if they did, but my apologies for the distraction.
No, it's all good.
Like, please give me data. We're live talking about it. That he's seeing this on the VeVe Facebook page. They're saying that you can already purchase HRR. Oh, you can already purchase HRO cards with OMI.
Yeah, with OMI on Unimmutable X.
Oh, that's not
the
the same.
That's way different.
Because I do like HRO. I do like the hero cards. I have a couple. I have the app. I've mentioned them on a few podcasts, and I've had Hello K on, who's a software engineer, and he's really big into OMI. And he said the only other project that he's gone into the last year has been this Heroes HRO. Yeah. But yeah, I think you have the GameStop NFT marketplace that's going to come online, and Coinbase, which has invested a lot of money into Immutable X. They're going to be interoperable with OpenSea. So you do have all of these Hero and these VeVe NFTs that are going to be able to get on 4 marketplaces in the future, which is nuts. Can't wait for that. I forget the question that I had beforehand.
So I totally had a squirrel moment. I was like, wait, what? Give me the details on this. That would be huge. So
I remember it now. It was, when do you think you see institutional investing, switching from like Michael Saylor taking out $200 million to buy Bitcoin, moving on from Bitcoin and Ethereum to go to other altcoins like Cardano, Solana, and OMI?
So it'd be hard for institutions to buy stuff like that because their risk profiles, right? And is it wise for them to buy assets like that because the price swings are so volatile? For me, all I get is crap at home when my portfolio's down 50 or 60%. But if you're a CEO, you get fired by your board.
Yeah.
And so we'll see how much they can put into assets like that unless they strategically make sense, because they have to make, especially if they're publicly traded, they have to make a case to their board of directors and then to their shareholders, right? And they can get voted out at any time. The CEO has to worry about that. And so they'll be really slow to go into assets. That's why they've been really slow to go into Bitcoin and ETH even, because even the volatility of Bitcoin, if you think about the high of 20,000, it then retraced all the way down to 3,200. Well, that is what is massive. That, 86% or 87% retracement or something. And that's something that a CEO gets fired for, even if you only put 2% or 1% of the company's assets in it. So privately held companies, totally different story. They can make whatever choices they want. And then, Michael Saylor is smart in that he's borrowing fiat in essence to buy more Bitcoin. And he knows that paying back that loan, dollars are, devaluing themselves, whereas the Bitcoin's not. So, I mean, where can I sign up for that? I can get the low interest rate loans to buy Bitcoin, right? Yeah, absolutely. I don't like buying leverage. I would take that bet. I'm in a lot of risky altcoins. I wouldn't do it with any of the altcoins that I'm in, borrow money. But if I could get a long-term loan like that to buy $200 million worth of Bitcoin, sure, I'd take that bet.
Yeah. And for the rest of you guys, are there any other tech companies that you have gone on and invested in? Because we have had some delays, which some people don't understand, that tech typically has delays. Like, I was supposed to get my Tesla Cybertruck this year, not going to until next year. And again, that's $1 trillion company that delayed one of their products a year. Have any of you guys invested in anything like Tesla or Square or PayPal, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've got stock all over the place, but just from the tech side, I'll put it this way, right? With some of the crypto projects that I'm in, and Rain and D-Money could say the same thing, but it's so funny to me when people are like, "Yep, there's all these delays," and they're bringing up HRO, and they're like, "Well, HRO has cash out features right now," and okay, but you know what? That was in their roadmap. That wasn't in VeVe's roadmap. So then they had to go, after they've already built stuff out, go back and re-engineer. That takes even more time than just building it out right the first time, right? And these are the things that you just have to look at holistically and say, okay, let's be reasonable and say, what are the expectations of any company when things like this happen? So if there's a change in their roadmap and they are adjusting to market to be flexible, but man, things are delayed all the time. I've been in projects where literally the day before they are releasing their token to the public, they'll change the tokenomics from a private sale. Nothing we can do. Sure. I guess I could file a lawsuit, but then by the time that's settled, the tokens might be worth 0, right? So it's just it is what it is. And this happens. These type of things happen in the crypto space. They happen in the tech space, in stocks. delays happen. I mean, like, I don't know. And it's funny to me where people will apply like different logical reasoning to crypto than they will to like your normal tech stocks, like Apple, right? So Apple, um, they're not coming out with their next product until, you know, or like the new iPhone, it doesn't happen until like it's once a year or something like that, right? And they're just like, hey, VeVe, I think we implemented this and this and this and this and this and this and this, you know, these 15 things that we want to make the app better. And it's like, we've been a company for like a year and a half. Chill, we're building it out, right? And we'll be there, but like, then they see this HRO, this shiny new toy, and they're like, okay. And I'm like, that's what VeVe was last year, right? This shiny new toy. But I'm like, you go to HRO, and it's like, I'm really interested to see. And don't get me wrong, I'm not throwing shade at HRO. Some of their comment cards, like, look incredible. They look amazing. But like, it'll be interesting to see in a year and a half where people are with HRO, right? Are they funding HRO because something didn't happen the way that they did, you know? And again, I'm taking a look long term at the team. I think that VeVe, like the team themselves, have a very long term vision, and I think that they are visionaries. They were talking about NFTs 3 years before the space even was aware of what NFTs were. And now what are they talking about that we don't know about, right? What are they thinking about that's next? Why are they building out an AR? Why are they doing all these other things that all these other projects are? Because the wearables, right? All of the things, as we're starting to see this true metaverse, it's not just like I'm online within my computer, but am I throwing on my Oculus, right? And going in and really experiencing that? Do I have haptic gloves and boots, or like all of these different things that I think that they're looking at longer term? So, anyways, going back to your point, like tech or crypto alike, there are delays. And I think that some of the FUD that's come around because of these delays is unreasonable. Some of it is the fact that they weren't transparent about certain things. And I feel like VeVe got the message, and they're going to be a lot more transparent going forward with if timelines are broken, and where they're sitting, you know, going forward.
It's just part of like technology investment, right? I remember there's this company that came out 2.5 years ago, and it seemed like they had a pretty good narrative. I like to buy in narratives. In this case, the company was like 3 people that were younger, and I'd seen a video with an AMA, and they were in this space, and they were talking about this idea that they were doing this virtual land sale, and they had this idea that gaming and crypto would merge well. And there wasn't a lot of people talking about that. And I was like, So I invested in their land sale, and they were selling for, you know, they had like Mystic Land and Savannah Land and Forest Land, and I was like, oh. And so like their Mystic Land at the time cost like 1 ETH, which was about $75 during the bear market. And, you know, their land launch, and later you could trade it on the ETH marketplace. So you could sell your land through like OpenSea and stuff. And that Mystic Land was selling for like half an ETH or 0.4 ETH. And ETH at the time was a little bit up, but it, you know, things were way down, and there was just delay after delay. And I'm talking about Axie Infinity. And do you know where that land went 2 years later? Because it did terrible for 9 months, 18 months. And then it went to, you know, that Mystic Land that cost $75 or 1 ETH at the time, went to like 50 to 70 ETH when ETH was worth $3,000 to $5,000. So it just took some vision and patience. You know how many people sold when it was like, oh my gosh, this project isn't doing crap, and I'm just going to dump my land for half an ETH, my Mystic God and stuff, and how they're like, they missed out on, you know, what was it selling for? About $70,000. So not 50 ETH, but yeah, it was selling between, depending on the Mystic plot, between 50 to 120,000 for basic non-road piece on some of the Mystic Land. I guess the road pieces were going for 100 to 120,000 at the top. And you could have bought it for $75 and some vision. But I say and some vision because you know how many people didn't wait for that? And they're just like, this stupid project is taking forever, and this is never going to happen. Stupid play to earn. They're not going to ever make it happen, right? Because they didn't just have some patience. And so it does take some guesses. You're looking for a decent team. I was concerned about their team. When I saw the AMA, I almost sold because I was like, I don't know if these guys can pull off this vision. But I did really like their narrative. And then they got backed by a really, really strong company. And that solidified and strengthened them. and they eventually rolled it out, and they took the world by storm with this whole play to earn thing. And then all of a sudden it was worth a whole bunch after years of delay, what seemed like years of delays, right? So
how much time do you guys have left? How much time is I know you guys are just coming off a podcast.
Yeah, I got to bounce soon. And I know DrOfStuff does.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have one more question real quick before you guys bounce. Any thoughts on people liking crypto because it's, the man doesn't know about it and how disconnected it is? But with the VeVe and Omi, they are pretty centralized in that if things happen, they do have the ability to take control of your account, disable your account. What's everyone's thoughts on that before we leave?
Yeah, so centralization is what we're used to. One of the big draws of crypto is the decentralization, that you own your own stuff. But can you say you really own your own stuff with VeVe? No, not yet. I mean, you'll be able to move some of it to, say, if you can move it off to a MetaMask wallet, then you own it. The Akomi token, you can take control of it and own it and hold it in your own wallet, because that's when you fully own it. So there's this balance between that, right? They're offering a lot of goodies. I think they try to be fair. They are heavily compliant. So if you live in a jurisdiction, all of a sudden the jurisdiction's like, hey, confiscate everyone from this. It's going to happen because they're going to be compliant with it, because your politicians set the rules for that country and they're going to comply with it. And so it's just something to be conscious and aware of. So that, and over time, then as you can move certain collectibles off to MetaMask, and that's why some people say, oh, they're not true NFTs. You don't own it, and they're not wrong on that. You don't. You own a rights to it on the platform as long as the platform continues to allow you those rights, really, as if you think about it.
Yeah, I'll jump on that as well. Like, here's the thing. One of the crucial elements for VeVe to be successful is mass adoption. And then this hybrid, right? They're kind of this like 1 foot in like the centralized world and then 1 foot in the crypto world, which is more decentralization. There's pros and cons, man, to both. But like there's some big money that they're not going to feel comfortable, or they're not going to know. There's big money in both spaces, in the crypto space and outside the crypto space. There's going to be people who honestly they want the guardrails there. Right. So you think about like what happened with the Bored Ape Yacht Club and some of that social engineering and phishing that happened, where all of these Bored Apes were stolen. Well, we've seen some people's VeVe accounts hacked and the collectibles stolen and they're returned to them. Right. And how awesome is that can happen? Whereas if they were out on OpenSea, it's just like, sorry, like you're out of luck. Right. Like you just didn't do that. And so there are protections there. And I think the mass market want those protections. And the mass market is what's going to come in, and they are going to come in with all of that money and that buying pressure that's going to hopefully, like, the prices of some of these collectibles will go up, and Omi will go up with that. But as there are more and more guardrails, look, like, the president of the United States just came out with this executive order, basically with a mandate to these agencies, regulatory agencies, being like, you need to wrap your arms around what this DeFi crypto space is, right? And let's get some guardrails in place. We're looking at trying to create like their own central bank digital currency and kind of move into this next era, right? First we went from the gold standard, now then to fiat, and now it's a digital type currency like that we're moving towards. So I think in general, the whole space is moving that way, but as much as the crypto space doesn't like that centralization, and there are some strong benefits with decentralization, right? With smart contracts, but there's also faults where you can initiate poor smart contracts that don't do the things that you think they're going to do. So I think that VeVe's in this perfect little spot in between the two, right? And they're this bridge, and because of that bridge, there's going to be a lot more mass adoption that actually comes into the crypto space just because of them. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I was going to say something similar to Doc. So just basically parroting that I really do think that's, I mean, you see banks that are insured, right? People like that, right? It's a warm, fuzzy feeling. And as a whole, I really do think, like you said, Doc, that the masses want those types of things in place. And we're short on time, so I'll just kind of leave it at that.
All right. Guys, thank you so much. You guys have been great this past 90 minutes.
Thanks for having us, man. It's been a blast. I can't believe it's been 90 minutes, frankly. It's gone by.
Yeah, goes by fast.
Yeah. A lot of us, we all get turns to talk and stuff, so it doesn't feel like that long. Definitely easier on the voices instead of doing something by yourself. But thank you guys. Everyone, please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi, and I'll catch you all later.